welcome to Snetterton for the Lotus celebration. This weekend there's over 60 cars entered in 2 races with the Lotus on Track Elise trophy. The Lotus on Track Elise trophy is increasing in popularity all the time, with new drivers joining us again this weekend at Snetterton. I've caught up with some of them in the paddock. Vitalis, is your first racing ever, is it?
Yeah, first racing ever anywhere in any class. And I had jumped in at deep end. I only got into sort of this thing about 2-3 months ago. Met some friend who had a Lotus Elise, had a lovely car to drive. So bought one, had some training with Andrew Walsh, and here I am.
And how are you enjoying yourself?
Loving it. I'm finding out everybody's rather faster than me. But so I'm going to spend a lot of time at the back of the grid. But people are so friendly, and it's just unreal how helpful everybody is. And wonderful organization. It's a lovely day out too. Yeah. So my hope is to bring car home in one piece and enjoy it.
And how are you finding the weekend so far?
Quite scary.
In what way is it scary?
First time out really racing. Didn't know what to kind of expect in qualifying. And just kind of got the first lap out of the way and kind of went for it then.
And you've qualified fairly well.
Yeah, 25th, so can't really moan.
There's 32 cars gridding up for the first race of the day. That's the Class A race with Paul Quinn and Michael Edwards dominating that front row. Some of our newer drivers are a little bit further down the order, and it's just starting to rain. Let's take a look at the grid.
Thanks, Gemma. Well, fortunately the rain held off, and Michael Edwards and Paul Quinn will have a clean run down into the first corner. They head Knight, Deakin, Wenzel, Steve Owen, Hans Bam, Hart, Paul Harding, Gary Broad and Mike Davis. Further down the grid we see Ian Berry back in the championship, Stuart Mason and Russ Treasure once again join us, and lady racer Tess Howell has done well once again in qualifying. Tom Chataway, Wayne Norton, Joanna Hodinott joining Tess on the grid as well. But at the back, Marcus Jewell, Stuart Kirkbride and a couple of the other drivers have been put to the back as a result of some technical infringements during qualifying. But a good clean start by both of the front row drivers, getting away evenly. The rest of the pack scrabbled for what is a very, very difficult, narrow part of road here at Snetterton, charging down into the first corner at Riches. Bravely round the outside, though, by Paul Quinn. He knows how to race hard and fair. He's already won a race. The number 2 car there going through the shot is Ian Berry back in the series. And Marcus Jewell, one of the drivers that was put to the back after technical problems, is charging through already. I'm joined by Rob Bath. Rob, you've raced at Snetterton before. What's the trick to being quick round here?
Snetterton's got a real mix of slow and quick corners, and Sia, the corner we just saw the car stream through there, leads out onto the Revit Straight, which is the longest straight at any UK circuit. So you've really just got to differentiate between the different corners, get the balance right and concentrate on corner exit speed. Paul Quinn, though, making good his escape at the front.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting battle between Quinn and Edwards. They both know how to race hard and fast at the front of the grid, and the pack just keeps coming with over 30 cars here at Snetterton. And as ever, the Lotus on Track Elise trophy is providing some great entertainment throughout the pack. There's always a race to be had somewhere as Mike Davis in the red Elise charges through the shot, Rob.
And with the leading pair coming through the Russell chicane, they've already got a little bit of a gap, and Marcus Jewell continues that charge up the field. But just look at the size of the field as well.
Well, it's going to mean it gets interesting as difference in speed starts to affect the drivers. In other words, some of the more experienced guys start to come back through after those problems that we heard about earlier. Hans Baumhart there just coming into our shot in the 14, starting to put a little bit more pressure on Gary Broad. Well, we've seen Hans have some great scraps this season already, and it looks like Snetterton's going to be no exception. A very distinctive cornfields in the background. Many a driver has disappeared off there on a rather exciting round. Look at the run that Edwards has seemed to have got at Quinn, Rob.
Quinn just ran a little bit wide coming out onto the back straight, and yes, change for the lead. That's Michael Edwards moving up into the lead, taking the lead from the yellow car of Paul Quinn.
Yeah, difference in lines. You mentioned about Sear Corner earlier, Rob, and that was definitely an example of different techniques being used there by the two drivers, and certainly it worked for Edwards. He seemed to use all of that available power as we see the 50 car of Keith Herford coming through the pack, and once again the leaders are side by side. Difference in line coming into the Russell chicane. There's been many different versions of of Russell, haven't there, over the years? And that seems to be one that really does favour a good run as we ride on board with Jewel.
And speaking of favoured runs, here he goes. Oh, down the inside. That's car 11. That's Russ Treasure. Look, 3 wide, Simon, coming through the Russell chicane. And Treasure gets wide.
Yeah, gets very sideways on the way out. He carried a load of speed, used all of the curbs now. Back at the front, the scrap continues. A bit of cement dust down there where somebody dropped oil in one of the previous events. But it does look like it seems to be as Quinn having to think about all of his experience, using every ounce of his experience to try and be very late, very brave on the brakes, and once again manages to get himself back to the head of the pack.
Yes, Quinn seems to have the advantage in terms of braking and cornering, but Edwards has terrific straight line speed. Coming through the bomb hole there, we saw Quinn just pull away a little bit, but riding on board with Marcus Jewell, he's looking to make a move on Russ Treasure. He's down the inside at the end of the back straight, and I think he's made it.
Well, if Treasure was as late on the brakes as he was before, it's going to be not a straightforward move, that's for sure. And as they come through, the pack just continues coming. The 45 car of Peter Driver at the back of that little gaggle there. Again, different lines there for Quinn, turning in slightly later than Edwards, but doesn't seem to affect his exit speed too much. Certainly gets a good run through there. Oh, big blow up there from someone at the back. Now that's Wayne Newton. That's the chap we heard at the beginning in his first ever weekend in one of the Lotuses, in a rather oily and expensive end, unfortunately, Rob.
Does look like a big smoky blow up, doesn't it? So let's just hope there's no fire there. Oh, and 64 off. Maybe that's connected. Maybe there's a bit of oil down. That's Tony Verrier.
Yeah, not a good place to go off there, coming out of Coram now. Back on board with Michael Edwards, closing down Paul Quinn once again. And look at the gap that they pulled out now over the scrap for 3rd and 4th, side by side in the braking area once again. Simon Deacon and Steve Wenzel, well, they just managed to avoid running into each other. Easily done there, because you are coming from such high speed. And Paul Harding at the back of that little group there, joining in the fun, Rob.
Yes, Paul looking to consolidate, perhaps take advantage of any mistakes ahead. Speaking of mistakes, that's the 80 car of Stuart Mason. He's had a spin coming onto the back straight, so lots of places lost for him, but Marcus Jewell continuing to be right in the thick of it. He's coming through Russell chicane now, continuing that charge back up from the tail of the field.
Yeah, just behind the 99. Oh my goodness me! How close was that, Rob Bath? That was unbelievable. That looked like Gary Broad having a major lose on the left-hand side of the circuit. James Knight sitting there probably contemplating life at the moment, I would imagine.
And this man, Marcus Jewell, it all happened in front of him. He's only lost a couple of places, but he manages to continue. But James Knight did look like he was stationary there, whether he's just frightened himself silly or whether the engine won't restart, perhaps a very hot starter motor. Man, that was close.
Well, a spectacular moment for Jewell coming out of Sears, still scrapping hard, and back on board with Michael Edwards now down the inside of Quinn, very, very late on the brakes into the S's, just about manages to keep Quinn behind. Quinn's going to try and get a good run coming out of the S's through the bomb hole and through Coram, and then once again back onto the brakes as we see a debutant, Vital Chouhan, enjoying himself and doing what he set out to do, keeping out of trouble. Once again, Edwards and Quinn slightly different lines as they come through the Russell chicane, Rob.
Quinn taking lots more curb at the second element, trying to carry speed onto the straight, and safety car out. So safety car for James Knight's car that's stalled on the grid. And, oh, look at the speed of that. That's Anthony Clark doing a spot of high speed reversing. Dropped it on the exit of Coram.
Yeah, not a good place to go off, but at least he spun across the grass to the inside rather than out into the tyre wall, which has happened many a time to many drivers. Well, I suppose not far away from Lotus Factory at Wyndham here, so they could always get some bits fairly easy. Now, who's going to get the best of the restart? It's really closed up the pack. Remember, the gap that the 2 leaders had to the 3rd place car a little bit earlier on, well, that's obviously disappeared now, and it gives that man, Marcus Jewell, that we're riding on board with once again, a chance to come even further through the pack. Because I think that was Vital that he was perhaps lapping there, and he's certainly going to be on a charge to start, get himself well up into the back of the top. Doesn't he enjoy Sear Corner, Rob?
Yeah, it carries maybe a touch too much speed in there, but it does look good, and that pair we had at the front has now become a quartet, riding with our leader then, Michael Edwards. No, Paul Quinn's down the inside of him, look.
Yeah, you saw Edwards just straighten the lock up a little bit, just to allow Quinn a bit of room of contact in the background. The 39 and 49 cars of Deacon and Wenzel have just collided with one another. One of them was looking not good for a podium there, as Matthew Bartlett now tries a little bit of dirt tracking on the straight there, but he seems to have just about got away with it. And a big sideways moment for Paul Harding there. This is going to help Marcus Jewell on his charge through, Rob.
Yes, very much so, and again we've got that pair right at the front. Quinn just holding the advantage though as they come round the S's at the end of the back straight for the final time, Simon. He's only got 3 corners left to run. The Bomhall, Coram, and then finally the Russell chicane.
And this is the part of the circuit that seems to suit Paul Quinn the best. Certainly seems to carry a little bit more speed, using that slightly different line to enable him to carry a load of speed through and out. Gets a good run though, but can Edwards get a better run out of the final corner? Not quite, I think it is just about going to be Paul Quinn. Just from Michael Edwards. And that wasn't the engine, Rob, was it? That was Marcus Jewell letting us know just how happy he was, coming from right at the back of the grid all the way through. So it was Quinn by just 0.39 of a second from Edwards. Jewell from all the way at the back. Harding, Davis, Hans Baumhart, a good run from him. Broad, Treasure, Deacon and Ian Berry.
Marcus, a great race for you from 27th up to 3rd.
Yeah, small problem in qualifying which made me run the car a little light, but yeah, it was really good. I like this circuit, I'm pretty quick here, so good fun. To take that many places is a good value day out, so really enjoyed it.
Well done to you. And Michael, if we come across to you now, fastest lap out there and a great race.
Yeah, it was good, very good, very close. We were swapping every other lap, it was fun. Yeah, it was fun, and it was almost like we could take the lead when we chose on that particular straight. And Paul knows the one I'm talking about. And I guess it was his turn nearer the end. But see what happens in the next race. Try harder.
Well done. And Paul, congratulations on the win.
Thank you very much. Yeah, very tough race. I'm exhausted after all that effort, and it was just too close to call. Mick was in front 1 minute, and I was past him on the straight, slipstreaming, and it could have gone anyway. I think the safety car probably messed it up for Mick, unfortunately, but that was good, and it's good to have a win at my local circuit.
Well, a fantastic result for Marcus Jewell, coming all the way up from 27th to finish 3rd, and close racing between Paul Quinn and Mick Edwards. And a great result for Paul, of course. Coming right up, it's classes B and C.